Bakugo has consistently been one of the most popular characters in MHA, so why has his fate been so confusing? My Hero Academia is no stranger to death. Sir Night-Eye and Midnight made a huge hole in the hearts of fans when they died, as well as in-universe. However, they were relatively minor characters in the grand scheme of the plot. The series has, seemingly, stayed pretty far away from killing off major characters. Even characters with death flags as bright and red as All Might still remain standing this deep into the plot. However, one of the most beloved characters in the entire franchise has a different fate.
What's
up, y'all? Don't forget to like and subscribe. We out here.
Katsuki Bakugo is a character that was simply made to make the audience fall in love with him. Bakugo has, arguably, one of the more impressive character arcs in shonen as a whole. He goes from being a genius who cannot deal with any externalizations of his own perceived weakness to someone who is able to work well in a team and become more open to his once-hated childhood friend. Bakugo offered an interesting new look at the idea of perfectionism and how it could affect a young man like him. His involvement in the plot is also not to be underestimated. So, of course, Bakugo was going to get a death scare or two. But very few people expected him to actually die. During the final war arc, Tamura punches a hole straight through him and effectively ends his life. This gets all the pomp and circumstance it deserves, as he's thrown himself into the fray with nothing but determination and heroism. This would have been an intense and heartbreaking loss for the entire franchise, something incredibly difficult for the writer to do and pull off so beautifully. But that could never have actually been the end for a character as incredibly important and beloved as Katsuki Bakugo. Despite the genuine sorrow and rage of the characters who witness Bakugo's death, and the fact that his heart was, according to Best Jeanist, completely shredded, he does manage to be saved. This is where things get a little bit weirder. Edgeshot, a pro-hero with the power to reduce his body's density to the point of being razor-sharp and thin, uses his greatest ability, Zenith, to use himself to basically knit Bakugo's destroyed organ together and act as his beating heart. It doesn't make a lot of sense and opens up a lot of questions, but it does get the explosive favorite back up on his feet. This also has the effect of making Bakugo's death feel almost entirely pointless. So it doesn't really feel like the death meant anything more than shock value at its core. While it's likely to still be controversial, some Bakugo fans may be pleased to learn that it was Bakugo's own power, which he worked so hard to hone, that was responsible for bringing him back from the brink. Killing a character like Bakugo is an incredibly risky proposition. He is the kind of character people will stop reading the manga for at even a sign of his loss. This means that, while his death was a surprise, his resurrection was very much expected by anyone who knows anything about anime. Bakugo's fate was written and defied all at once. He very well could have died. It could have been one of the most tragic moments in the show and become something that Deku would grapple with for the rest of his life. Is it narratively satisfying to kill a character like Bakugo only to undo it as quickly as possible? No, not really. It is more of a shock value centerpiece that ends up not meaning much of anything aside from the possible death of another character who matters less to the audience. But it does work to further the central idea of the story as a whole. Bakugo's death would have been the death of hope for Deku and others. He would have been the kind of loss the plot couldn't recover from. A victory over the villains after that point would have been at far too great a cost. It would have undermined the entire core of the series, the act of finding hope and clinging to it no matter what. Bakugo's fate is to uphold the very core pillar of the story and to keep the entire game afloat. While he may have been out of focus for a while, Bakugo's death and resurrection is the symbol of what All Might was always fighting for: hope and peace.
What's up, y'all? Don't forget to like and subscribe. We out here.